And we are live with the Enterprise Month in Review, and I have co-host Brian Summer. Brian, how you doing?
I'm doing just fine. Looking forward to the weekend.
Yeah, before we went live, we had a really scintillating section on enterprise executive movement gossip that the viewers missed out on. That's rough. Plus, they missed out on your ranking of the Gaylord hotels. Uh, but don't worry, viewers. We've got some much better content for you in store today, including Meg Bear and Amy Wilson, the dynamic duo who are going to be in the hot seat responding to Brian's bones of contention about HR tech. What could be better than that, Brian?
That's pretty good because they got to do the answering. I just get to ask the questions. But anyway, well, let's not paint the picture quite so whatever antagonistic, or we won't have any guests when we get to the halftime.
Yeah, right. No, but in all seriousness, I am really looking forward to hearing what they have to say. And if you are in the stream, please comment. There's usually a slight delay on the LinkedIn side, but you should see it fine. If not, let me know and I'll make sure you have the YouTube link so you can check it there. And with that, we will get into our agenda. If I can remember how to advance the slides. Oh, hi, Manny. How are you? Thanks for coming. And the emoji hello as well. Always like to see the versatile use of emojis in our chat. And yeah, and one of our guests is already in the studio, Brian. So we gotta stay on pace here. So tell them about the agenda today.
All right, we did a couple little changes to the agenda. For once, I finally took the unpredictions off of here.
Oh my God, it's
That's
gone.
that's been a 6 months request from John Reed, and, that service ticket finally made its way to me, and I took care of that. That's number
Wow.
1. Number 2 is I actually, I don't know about John, but I really am looking forward to the halftime piece, and we're gonna move up the order of things a little bit. I've known both Meg and Amy for a long time, but my best little Amy story is, one time she was running a Q&A with industry analysts at, I think, an SAP event. And I, of course, I'm like one of the first to have my hand up, and I go to ask a question about engagement. And before I could even finish the question, Amy cuts me off and says something to the effect of, Brian, I can't talk about engagement until you bring me at least a dozen roses. And that was that. I was in that whole setting in there. And I thought, I like this woman. She's got moxie.
Well, we're
Anyway,
about to find out if the Moxie continues, but we're not quite there yet. Just want to say hi to a few folks. Hi, Tracy. Always good
mm,
to see you. Justin, yeah, a little bit of banter, but as you know, we try to stay heavy on content in this show. So we will get to your content shortly if I don't get arrested by this cop that's driving by. Justin, yes. Oh, and Thomas, right. Hey, Thomas, how you doing? Uh-oh, we're going to get some savvy snark in the chat from Thomas, I am sure, before it's all said and done. All right.
uh,
So Brian, should we proceed into our stories?
yeah, for Thomas, yeah, das ist richtig. We'll go right into the commentary. John, you've got the first story. We're going to do
Yeah.
each just us two of them today. Tell us about
Yeah.
Anthropic.
So, okay. So look, I mean, we could spend a whole show on the big AI economy and its foibles, but I did get asked specifically about Anthropic a few times on LinkedIn. So I just want to touch on this. This article actually was a pretty good roundup from Larry Dignan over at Constellation, who always gets the job done with stuff like this. This is a little bit of an older piece. There's been some developments since then, but I just want to focus on a few takeaways that I think are particularly relevant to this story from an enterprise perspective. Uh, well, one of them is that if Anthropic's going to carry on about how dangerous its models are and reap all the sensational PR from what I call those razor sharp peacock feathers, then perhaps there's going to be a consequence to that posturing. And the irony, of course, is that other models might have the same vulnerabilities, which Anthropic rushed to point out. But when you're gonna when you're gonna be dangerous in your viral marketing, you can't then try to be safe when it comes to regulation. So I think that's a hard and good lesson for them. Uh, I do think that regulating AI globally is going to be very tough, but I do think we need to figure out how to identify and validate models and vet those and have some vetting process that you could essentially achieve. And we're waiting on the smart, savvy AI regulations that can do that. And the final comment I would just say is that if it's true that, and it seems to be that this whole thing came out of some informal feedback from Amazon's CEO that led to government action, then as I said in hits and misses, that's not the kind of well thought regulation I was referring to. So anyhow, we're all navigating amidst this mess, but I think part of it is just being companies are aware that their AI services are kind of vulnerable to to quickly being curtailed or changed, and I don't think that's healthy. And that was one of the major themes in my piece this week on real time organizational truth on Diginomica. Grab a beverage sometime this weekend, check it out. But a key component of the piece is to urge customers and vendors to declare a little bit of independence from frontier models and realize you don't always have to be dependent on these folks, which is good because who wants to ride that roller coaster with them when you're trying to get some friggin' results out of this technology? So, Brian, any quick comments before I move to the next?
Well, the other angle on this is I would like to see the AI vendors take things a little slower before rolling it out, particularly if the LLM is capable of helping people crack codes, particularly complex codes, hack into systems, whatever. It's all the dark side of things that need to be like not just tested, guardrailed to death, to make sure that they aren't going to create problems. And I'm sure that's behind some of this national security concern is that these tools could be turned backwards back onto companies here in the US or the military, what have you. Anyway, let's go. Next story.
So, yeah, this is totally not an AI story, but I am a sucker for a really potent piece on getting enterprise projects right. Wow, this slide looks a little bit jammed up on my view. So hope you guys can see that. Okay. Ted Rogers at UpperEdge has been doing this for a long time. He gets it. He points out how it's about selecting the right vendors and how do you govern those vendors once you select them. He talks about PwC being quick to name clients' gaps, other vendors' shortcomings, third-party dependencies, but what they almost never do is name their own firm's failures with the same directness. Ouch. And Ted's got a ton of zingers in this piece and some really good advice. Uh, but he talks about how vendors offer reassurances, but not facts about where they failed and the performance gaps that need to be addressed. But it's really not just about taking shots. It's basically advice on how customers should be managing these relationships. And I would just add to Ted's feedback that I think the overlooked component in all of this is elevating some type of independent auditor or advisor at different points to kind of keep your prime vendor on track and in check because these things are uh, always difficult to manage. I love that line about think of it like the vendor can hallucinate, not out of malice. But anyway, Brian, any comments? What did you think of the piece?
I like the piece. It's short and sweet, but it really hits. Pretty much every sentence has got a body blow in it. And and he's right. The way a lot of the PMI roles go and on these big projects and transformation deals, um, there's always going to be a conflict of interest if the PMI person is part of the major systems integrator that's working on the project. Are they really going to out themselves for screwing up? And the answer is probably not. And there's going to be a lot of pressure up and down the chain of command of their firm to paint a better, more rosier picture so they can sell additional follow-on work, scope creep increases, and everything else. So it's worth a quick read. And in fact, for those of you working in a company that's got some big change initiative underway, somebody might want to flip the link on that article to your lead IT executive and make sure they're on the lookout for some of the problems that Ted pointed out. Good piece.
So we'll get to yours, Brian. Justin, just real quick on the highly context driven roles trying to be force fed into AI agents and push back and backtrack. Yeah, I actually wrote a lot about context in that piece, and we're not going to geek out on context today, but you're right, and I think that's sort of the crossroads that we're at in the enterprise right now. Is are we getting results, or are we just trying to automate things prematurely. So anyhow, Brian, let's go back to the deck. I want to get to your stories, and then we got to get our guests on. So
Yep. Well, let's start with this one. This is a piece about a fellow named Dr. O. And some of you have probably heard him. This article is out of The Guardian. And apologies, I don't know why things are getting stomped today. That may be a live stream issue or whatever. But this is a great article to read. It's long, but this guy's got a point of view around AI that's a bit contrary to all the hype that you read today. He doesn't. He's not convinced that by even the silly things we do, where we apply human skills, capabilities, emotions, whatever, to describe capabilities we want out AI, that's not the right way to go. He keeps describing AI as something no more than a word predictor, what will be the next word that comes out, what have you. I can't do justice in just a minute or two here, trying to describe everything that is jammed into this great article, other than just to say, you guys really need to go look this up. It's on The Guardian. And again, his name is Dr. O. That's the interview subject. It's a fascinating read. If you want to understand what some of the other dark side of AI issues are out there in this world.
yeah, and he just put out a new book. I mean, Corey's famous for the enshittification phrase, which is a really potent way of describing how the internet business models devolved into actually inferior services and experiences as it became more commercial. And arguably, a lot of that is happening on the consumer side of AI as well.
Mhm.
Dr. O isn't intimately familiar with enterprise AI, but I still think a lot of his criticisms are well worth taking into account. And the Centaur reverse Centaur thing is really interesting because it has to do with so much of this is how you frame it, where I don't want to try to explain which one is which, but the bottom line is he's juxtaposing, are you using this technology to make human work better and better, or do humans essentially become like an approval mechanism, hitting the word approve on a stamp while the technology takes over
Mhm.
too much of, arguably more than it should, and turning humans into robots essentially. And so I think companies have a lot of choices that they're facing around that, and he's really good at articulating those choices. So I would also recommend checking out some of his YouTube interviews because they're really good. Okay, so just real quick, I want to catch up on a couple quick comments. Tracy says she was stalked by an AI bot this week and had the joy of trying to move internet and electricity accounts through AI agents. I want to like this technology, but they are making it difficult. I think that's a really good summary of where a lot of individuals are at with this. And Thomas says he likes the headline. I usually say one needs to have a serious character flaw to become a billionaire. Indeed.
Oh yeah.
Oh, hi, Brent. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's hard to get me to gush. I will gush over Corey though, because I think he's one of the preeminent critics, and he's not a luddite. He understands the tech pretty well. Okay, let's get to your next real quick.
So this one is an article in Fast Company this month, and it's about world models. And I touched on this once before in an earlier month in review, but this is a longer piece, and it takes you a lot deeper into it. And the key point here is, we're knocking out one kind of AI challenge after another. There's still the difficulty with trying to bring context into AI. There's still difficulty coming up with an artificial general intelligence capability and so forth. What this is, if you can imagine, is figuring out how you tie together all kinds of real life objects, if you will, and use AI to start figuring out what the interactions and everything else from one to another would be. This company can basically put together a 3D AI kind of world that represents your world and define all the characteristics there. And that's great if you want to do things like generate footage for movies or what have you. It's also critical for rideshare technology, for example. And one of the examples in the article is how a rideshare company really needs to know the difference between a stop sign on a post and a stop sign that folds out from the side of a school bus? Do both of them mean you have to stop? And what are the rules there? This whole discipline around building world models is going to take a long time to knock out, I suspect, because it's not just the rules from one object to another and all the different dimensions around a given object, but it's also tough because you have to have context. You have to understand, like in that stop sign example, when is a stop sign really something you have to pay attention to, and when might you be able to let it go? And it's a look into the future. I only recommend that you take a read through on that one to understand kind of one of the next chapters that may evolve in the AI frontier. And that's really the point of bringing this up.
Tracy points out that hallucinations are prevalent. It can be pretty funny as long as you don't need it to actually help you arrange the furniture. Indeed. Well, hallucinations are only funny when they don't have consequences, which is sort of the problem, I guess. Yeah, the world model space is interesting, and I linked to an article in my real time intelligence, real time truth piece about world models because a lot of the luminaries that have become frustrated with LLMs have moved into world model development. We'll
Mhm.
see how that pans out. It's not a I don't think it's a panacea for what ails current AI, but it's an acknowledgement that language based intelligence, I put intelligence in quotes, only gets you so far. So I think those are very worthy pursuits to be tracking. So
My shorthand for what you just said, John, is think of Second Life and some of those other kind of VR worlds with a huge overlay of AI added on top of it. And then you kind of start to get close to where the world models are trying to go. Anyway,
yeah,
the
exactly.
halftime show.
Yeah, and there's some really interesting stuff because like you could build them for very specific environments like a factory, and that could be pretty compelling. Okay, Justin, I think so many people misunderstand the work needed to even get a data-driven culture to even enable AI correctly. I think we have a hunch we're going to get back to that, Brian, during our
Oh, yeah. Justin's speaking my
Justin. Just
language.
hang out because I think we're going to get to some stuff you're going to like. Brian, we're here, man.
Do we have guests?
We do. Check it out. They even have like a cool publicity shot. We need to get one like that, actually.
They would have us on a funeral pyre already lit and torched. But anyway.
I do think you guys should get a really good photo shoot, and I would definitely recommend Heather Bussing for that job. Since
Okay,
she's
all
the
right.
amazing
Heather gets a
photographer.
shout out.
Yes,
Heather's good. Heather's good people, and
great people. Yes,
I don't know if Amy heard me at the top of the deal I
I
mentioned.
did. I did.
Brian, where's your
Hopefully-
flowers, man? Did you bring the flowers?
Yeah,
We've been waiting
I
for a
still
long
haven't
time
gotten them,
now.
John. Nope.
Oh
Still
my God.
waiting. Still waiting.
Hey, hey, I was a cheap date a long time ago, and still am, I guess. But anyway,
Out of respect for your domestic commitment, Brian, I won't comment further on flowers for Amy, but I just want to point out that's a loose end. You left that hanging. So the Meg and Amy show is here. This is kind of like a show mashup. Isn't that cool?
Yeah,
It is indeed.
it's
So-
it's like worlds colliding. I think. Yes.
Yeah. Do you want to just tell us briefly about how the Meg and Amy show became this dominant franchise? How did you cook this up?
Amy, you want to start?
Yeah. Well, so I guess it was about a year and a half ago that Meg said, I think we need to do a podcast, Amy. And if you know us at all, then you'll know that our history is that we've worked together in a variety of different configurations. I worked for Meg, Meg worked for me, we worked side by side, etc. But I always have worked for Meg, no matter what
Oh.
configuration was. So when Meg says we're going to do something, we do it. And that
All
is
right.
why we are here.
Well, I for one welcome outspoken media content in the HR space, and I know that Brian does too. We've got a real treat for the two of you today, though, because you get to react to Brian's bones of contention about HR tech, and you don't even know what he has cooked up yet. So this
No,
is going to be
We're coming in blind, but
this is live without a net.
I feel prepared no matter what, because I tend to enjoy these bones of contention. So
Brian, why are you so grouchy about HR tech, man?
Uh, like the first system I ever had to fix was a payroll system. And then the second system was a payroll system that I had to rewrite for a retail or hospitality company. And then the third one I had to deal with, and it just went on and on and on. The last one I think I did of any real import was trying to shoehorn SAP HR payroll information into an old PeopleSoft system. Don't ask me why anybody would want to do that, but that's what my job was. So, by the way, in full disclosure, my wife was not only an HR director, she was a headhunter as well a long time ago. So, we can have some very frank conversations about those issues here at the house.
Oh, hey,
Uh,
Brian, we forgot about the chair.
Oh, yeah. I thought y'all needed a much bigger chair. And I took this picture in Casey, Illinois. If you're ever out that way, you might want to try and get a new photo up on top of that thing. It's a rocking chair that must be, I don't know, 80, 100 feet tall. It's
Wow.
unbelievable.
Are
Uh,
people allowed up there?
Yeah, how do you get there?
I think they have a staircase or something that'll get you up one of the legs, something like that. But
All right, well, another story to track.
uh,
So, Brian, do you want to finish with this overview
let me give you-
slide? 'Cause I want to get to the meat of this thing. So,
yeah, so here's the setup. I penned a piece and I outlined 8 big problems. And I'm wondering if I were going to HR Tech Conference this summer in Vegas, would I see answers to them? I'm not going to be there for this year for the first time, I don't know, 20 odd years for some personal stuff. But you two know that show. Hundreds of people are going to be on the exhibit floor alone, or vendors will be on the floor alone, and then thousands of attendees and the usual analyst suspects. But I don't know if anyone's going to solve some of the real problems. So I documented 8 of them, and I'm going to pick up to four today. And I want to get y'all's reaction. And my number one question to think about is, will we see any solution to these problems this year? You guys ready?
oh boy, and by the way, we did see a comment here that we are. I don't know if y'all know this, but we are going up against the World Cup in Massachusetts. Yeah, it's gonna be a challenge for ratings. I will admit, but
People might
Um,
have to catch us on the replays. Or
yeah, yeah. We'll
Super.
find out. We'll find out where your heart lies pretty
Right.
quick. All right. So, and by the way, for those of you in the audience, after we go through this feature segment, you're going to have a chance to create your own buzzword. We didn't do a very good job of promoting it, so hold on to that thought. But Brian, here we
All
go.
right. So my first question is, with all this talk about how AI is supposed to be using, HR is supposed to be using AI to redesign work, redesign what people are going to do. We're going to put people in the middle of workflows and processes and change things and all this stuff. My question is, does anybody have any tools that actually help HR people learn how to actually redesign work? Do you have any tools that will document the as is and the to be processes that calculate the delta between the two and figure out what the savings are going to be? If I'm a chief HR officer, I would be really reluctant to be running my mouth off talking about our team's going to redesign work, because I can't figure out where they're going to get the time, where the tools. How does this get solved? So let's get the brain trust of Meg and Amy on here. And is anybody going to solve that problem?
Amy,
Yeah, so
Amy's,
I'm going to give a little disclaimer here that I am an advisor to a company that does this. So,
There is
Ooh.
one.
yes. And so I've been an advisor of Rejig, REEJIG, led by Siobhan Savage. It's a bit of a mouthful. For the last year and a half. And so that's exactly what this company does. It has the data that understands how work is done, what are the tasks that make up the work, and what are the different workflows and configurations of the tasks, what roles, and what tasks make up particular roles. And then getting to the point of identifying where there's AI potential, what kind of AI tools can be used to augment or assist or automate. And so all of that is part of what Rejig does and what customers are starting to do. And so it's still very early in the maturity curve, though, where the customers are really at this point getting the intelligence of understanding where work sits and what the task makeup is and where there's the most potential to work on it. They are much slower to get to the point of actually reimagining and reinventing the work, as you would expect. And a lot of that has to do with some of the things that you brought up, Brian, which is like, well, who does it? Who do we get to collaborate on this and to build the new workflows? How do you do that? How, there aren't any paved paths. And so, Rejig is bringing this intelligence forward and bringing tools forward, but really looking to pave the paths with the customers. And so that's happening at some of the biggest companies right now, like JP Morgan Chase, Eli Lilly, Micron, J&J. Like they're all customers that are at various points of trying to figure out how to actually take this forward and actually make change.
I guess I would just want to layer on something that's a little bit less specific to the tech and a little bit more about the business problem. And it is possible for technology to do what Amy describes, to analyze what's happening, to give you information about how you might think about it, et cetera. But I think the real unlock that businesses are hoping for gets into the, new organization models and new operating models. And I think the place where that gets stuck is not necessarily the technology, but in clarity of what are the initiatives that we are in need of reimagining and redesigning. How do we want to reshuffle to create value in this new world? And how do we think of opportunity? And the challenge in not getting that right gets to the reductive stories that we see today, which is, hey, let's just fire 30% and assume that AI will just pick up the slack and everything will work out beautifully, right? And so this is the thing that I think we need to get clear in our heads is HR is not the only one that can or should be driving this sort of business opportunity transformation. It needs to be a strategic conversation with the executive team and the board about where are the levers for value creation that we want to go after, and then how do we bring the technology into that storyline. And I think that's where we're going to still be frustrated this year because, again, to saddle HR with the responsibility of reimagining the entire business model and the operating model for that execution without aligning it with the business strategy and the business opportunity is a recipe for failure definitionally. So don't worry, you'll have a lot to be disappointed about, I think, in progress.
Yeah, I think just to kind of sum up, I think the tools are going to be there, but the how to actually do it is not going to be in a form that you are satisfied with or anyone is satisfied with.
So, Megan, Amy, you know this by now, but Brian's a pretty salty and tough grader of responses. I deal
I'm a teddy bear.
so just so you know, if you take a little heat back and forth, that don't take it personal. I take it all the time when we discuss these things. I just want to make one comment, which is like I generally really agree, especially about the pressure that goes down on HR departments and directors who are essentially swamped by a lot of AI related pressures and hiring and talent pressures as well. But I would put more heat, I think, on HR tech vendors, especially the deep pocketed ones, to take Brian's slide number one more seriously in their talking points and narratives. Because, Amy, that sounds like a worthwhile company, but I certainly didn't hear that from some of the big players this spring. Anyway, Brian, do you have anything you want to add before we go to your next?
No, I'd say kudos, ladies. Y'all hit a lot of the right points, although I still think it's going to be we're going to hear is crickets chirping in the press room with vendors not pitching a great solution here yet. So, okay, that's fine.
Just real quick before we get to the next, Katie says lots of leadership level decisions need to be made before we ask people to build and execute. I think the topic of like buy-in and morale right now, in my opinion, is really huge. And I think Justin, you left the chat, but I do want to quickly call out one thing you said around disparate data, data sensitivity, timing of data, and data-driven cultures have been making this more of a fool's errand. So let's get back to that topic as we go. Okay, Brian, number 2, drum roll. Here we go.
Oh, this is a favorite. There's still real problems with bias in AI, and you don't find it written up as much in some of the regular trade press, but you do find it in the academic papers where they do a lot more studies. The bias is a problem. There's also still the problem of time constraints with HR people recruiters only spending like 3 seconds per resume or application. Yeah, that's a real great way to evaluate somebody. And there's a lot of applicants who really just feel like they're wasting their time even applying to positions because they'll A, never hear anything, and B, they'll never get hired because they know the systems are gamed in different ways. I think one of the more damning studies I read said that if a job seeker can find out which large LLM is being used by an applicant tracking or recruiting system. So if somebody's using a software product that runs with Claude in the background, that if they have Claude tune up their application resume, that it will get ranked substantially higher by the AI scoring tool.
So shockingly, Claude likes Claude's work. And yeah.
Claude hired Claude. Wow.
Very, very complimentary of Claude.
And I have seen like even the next level of that, which is that when people have tested Claude and OpenAI, and it's both, in helping them make their resumes stronger, it actually pushes women to weaker language and men to stronger language.
Mhm.
So,
Yes.
so it's layered at every level here that I think we're getting to the full circle of enshittification, right? Where we hand the whole thing all the way around full circle to the machine and end up right back where we started with all of the bias and all of the suffering.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's always been terrible, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And the question is there an opportunity for it to kind of completely go 180? Because it seems like it just is a progressive worseness. Every technology that we introduce into the hiring cycle, or into the hiring world, everything just gets worse. So I don't know. I don't know if there's hope here.
Oh, I hear you, Amy. The promise that AI is going to make everyone's lives more efficient and productive and so forth is absolute garbage, because citizen AI tools are unraveling all that faster than the commercial AI tools can dig out from underneath it. So that's why we have the record volumes of resumes, applications, everything else. And I hate it when I listen to a briefing from a vendor who wants to tell me that they're using AI. They sprinkle it like those little things they put on ice cream cones or donuts. We'll put a little AI, algorithmic AI here, a little generative AI there, whatever. And that isn't it. Let's go all the way back to the first topic. We need someone who's going to radically reimagine what a recruiting process should look like. And it may not operate well with all this AI dreck and user generated, falsified or whatever amplified kind of credentials.
Ryan, what's wrong with sprinkles, man? Like a little sprinkle on your ice cream? Come on, man. Uh, I just want to make a few.
There's a quote of the day.
Yeah.
Brian, what's wrong?
I
with
want
this?
to throw a few logs on the fire, and then the three of you can respond. I do think, while I think a lot of the large recruiting vendors haven't been too inspiring, there are some very interesting startups in this area. Um, I also want to point out that these models are actually pretty good at pointing out the flaws in your work and culture, but you have to ask it to. Out of the box, they will not. But if you say, "Will you analyze our organization first for leadership weaknesses or whatever?" It will do that, and it's pretty good at it too. So some of this is figuring out how to use the tools in ways that challenge you and spar with the tools instead of just expecting them to reinforce every stereotype that you might want. And along those lines, they're really good at pattern detection, which to me implies that you could use these tools to identify bad bosses where certain kinds of workers were not being promoted. And of course, HR tech vendors don't want to touch that. But I think you could build a bad bosses identification AI tool pretty effectively. And one more thing, which is I think you could also use these tools to be more inclusive in your hiring and less algorithmic screening. And I talked with one recruiting startup about that, and they had some interesting answers. I mean, this is still an area that's not well developed, but there's ways, for example, of identifying candidates when you're not doing brute force screening methods on they must have this degree or this credential. They can actually surface really interesting candidates. So why don't we do more of that? So I think a lot of this comes down to not the technology, but do we have the stones and conviction to apply it in a way to make workforces better? Anyway, I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, I have one like layer over places where I see optimism. I also have a lot of optimism for improving the interview process, the human connection with people, and helping both make the candidates understand the role better and the company up their game a little bit on how they interact with candidates and all of that. So coaching for the interviewers, giving quantitative information about how you're assessing in those moments. So again, I agree with you. There's a lot of really bright lights, but they're not the kind of thing that we have been focusing on in the past, which was let's just up the volume on both sides, like flood in a lot of candidates and then auto screen and, turn it into a full computer-based thing. I think there's a lot of things you can do to improve the process with technology that is not going after that part of the problem.
Brian, anything else before we go on to your doozy number 3?
Oh, he's building.
Yeah, the waters
food
are
as
getting
well.
deeper, man.
Oh man.
Let's go. I'm kind of mindful of the time. We've
Okay.
got, I think, 2 in reserve here. So let's see what's going. What's the next one? Oh yeah, this one's for you, Amy. I put this right in there. Empathy, culture, and engagement. Because it's the only good culture you get in a yogurt container. But anyway, this one, do they really matter in the AI age? And I asked that question because if I were a vendor and we had to prioritize which HR modules we're going to build, might I put these at the bottom of the list? This is my question. Because with companies who don't care about stripping out all the mid management levels in a company, who just fire people and blame it on AI, whether that's really true or not, I'm not convinced that the market really appreciates these kind of capabilities anymore. Now, I'm being a devil's advocate here, or just being a devil, but am I going to see some solutions like what do these look like in the AI age when I gut the middle of a company right out, from its workforce and treat people with where people only interact with an AI bot and never talk to another human being? What is that world?
And
Yeah.
Brian, did Dan sponsor that slide, or what was up with
Oh,
that?
yeah,
I'm
good
just
question.
curious.
Yeah. What's up?
We need-
Yeah, what's
do
up?
we
We got to
need a
work
dis-
on our sponsorship.
Do we need a disclosure?
Or
Okay.
does yogurt mean empathy? Like you give somebody a yogurt?
Oh, a yogurt has a good culture. I don't know what the
Oh,
vendor.
culture.
Yeah,
There you go.
exactly.
There
Yeah.
you go.
All right, Amy, you're on the spot.
I missed that entirely.
Defend empathy in the age of AI.
Yeah. Well, so Meg and I have talked a lot about this. So there's a couple angles. So first of all, engagement probably isn't the best metric to be considering in any case, right? Because what you really want is you want people that get it and are engaged. So just because they're happy, that's really not all that useful. But I do want to just talk about the gutting of managers and middle layers and all that kind of stuff. And Meg and I did a hot take on this when Jack Dorsey came out with the block getting rid of all managers. And I think, that is a huge mistake and completely misses the point, which is that you absolutely need amazing managers in this particular time in order to get everybody to understand what's happening, in order to get people aligned to what they're doing, what they can do well. The problem is that if you look at an organization, there really aren't usually not all that many great managers. But to just say we don't need managers is the wrong approach. And this gets back to what you were saying, John, in terms of having like using AI to find out where are the bad managers and get rid of those, right? Or, make it clear why they're not good managers and be really clear what those golden managers are capable of, what they're doing for the company. Like, make that an incentive and a role model, because in terms of getting us from here to there and getting all of the people through their grief and their change of role, and in terms of moving the company forward from legacy to AI first, you need amazing managers. And so that's what I would say is like that's the conversation that's being missed. And so it's not so much empathy, culture, and engagement. It's about like, how do you move the organization forward, and who are the people that can really do that for you?
So the way I do agree with you that if you're a software vendor and you're trying to sell empathy today, it's going to be very hard. And that is, in my mind, a very terrible presenting symptom of where we are in this moment. But it's important to kind of have that clarity. It is really a moment for HR to step back and evaluate what is the contribution they can make to the organization and to their discipline. And it is going to require some different tactics, where in the past you could talk about engagement, you could talk about retention, you could talk about all of these things that you were deploying from either a technology or an initiative point of view. And that was going to be like, incrementally bringing people towards somewhere where they were feeling good. And now we're in a moment where business is like, absolutely not. We have no budget for people feeling good. We have no budget for, happiness and joy. We're just here for shareholder value and efficiency and
no more sprinkles.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And so I think there's a really interesting kind of corollary in the research that Adam Grant just did. I think he wrote up in the New York Times about return to office, and how the correlation of return to office is tied to CEO narcissism. That it's not really, but
Right.
the spoken story is productivity or whatever, but the underlying data is showing it's about the needs of the leader, and a little bit of like they need to have people to admire them and to be around them. I think the same thing, we're falling into this sort of trap of what is it that we're doing for the workforce? And if we want to care about human flourishing, or if we want to care about transformation, or we want to care about productivity, we need to recognize some of the tactics that we're going about are getting in the way of those results. And a lot of those things are human things. So it's fine to say we can't talk about it in a soft way, but we have to recognize that the needs of the business require a different kind of leader, and it does require a leader that can understand what the cost of these big transformational asks are on the organization and what they're giving up in trying to get there in the way that they're going about it, which in my mind, in my language, is very much a ready, fire, aim kind of approach, right? Fire everybody and, hand some Claude token quotas and tell everybody to get going. I don't think that is driving that's just bleeding out a lot of human capacity that could be applied to the things we're trying to drive. So while I do agree that it's going to be hard to sell a culture result, it's going to be impossible to be productive towards the goals you're trying to do without understanding what are the cultural and human impacts. So I think we're just back to where we started, but I think we're going to elevate our language pretty quickly.
Hi, Tim. I'm Tim Crawford. There's a factor of what incentivizes people and who it incentivizes. For too long, we've thought of people as things rather than people. Tim, I saw you were on a show today about agentic issues for board members. That looked really good. I'm going to try to catch that replay. Meg is curious of the definitions of leader versus manager, and he wants the same question to Amy. So, wow.
Amy's probably...
Can we do kind of a lightning round on that? Because we got a little more we want to cover. So,
yes, for sure.
Give us the lightning round.
Oh, you wanted me to do it now? Okay. So,
yeah.
So to my mind, I think we need both leaders and managers. I think it's falling out of favor to have people managers. And to Amy's point, I think we need managers and great managers more than ever before. But I do believe that we need to help elevate individuals' ability to be leaders as well. So I sometimes use them interchangeably, but I do think it matters for both.
Yeah. I mean, it's, to me, like, everyone can be a leader. A manager, it's if they have direct accountability, responsibility for the people. That's all that I would say.
Okay, cool. Brian, I know we're a little behind schedule, but I got a little surprise for you that fits in right now. So I just want to make a couple quick comments, throw it back to you all. One is on the more thing I like in terms of tying AI into this topic a little bit. I've talked to a couple vendors. This isn't too pronounced yet, but looking into the whole mentorship thing. And I'm not sure that I'm a huge fan of AI-based mentorship, but I do really like how AI could potentially be applied to connect individuals with proper mentors inside their organizations based on their interests at some level of scale. I think that could be really cool. So I wanted to mention that. On the maybe not quite as cool side, Brian, and here's your surprise, it's not like engagement's going away, or there was a video about AI-driven employee appreciation programs, platforms that turn appreciation into leadership intelligence, Brian. So AI is about to turn employee appreciation into a measurable statistic, a science. So it's not about pizza parties or donuts anymore. Historically, appreciation was messy and human. Managers had to notice work. Someone had to take the time to write a thank you card. Let's face it, Brian, it was inefficient and inconsistent. And AI is not going to worry about that. It just optimizes. And once appreciation becomes measurable, it becomes optimizable. How do you think about that, Brian? Doesn't that solve your problem?
I don't want to. Do not forward me whatever press release you read that out of. I don't want to read it. It's going to ruin my dinner tonight. Don't even send it to me.
Oh my goodness.
John, you and I have talked before about how I hate systems that generate a computer generated attaboy certificate. If as someone who's had to roll up his sleeves and do a whole bunch of terrible jobs in my life, if somebody gave me one of those, I'd wad it up and throw it right at them. And because it showed just how little lack of thought went into it. That moves the needle the wrong way in my perspective on engagement or recognition or whatever you want to call it.
It does show the danger though, right? I think that's been a key takeaway from this conversation, is that you can head towards a more mechanistic and we've seen this in the chat as well alongside our comments. You can head in a dehumanized mechanistic direction, or you can maybe apply this towards a little greater purpose and fulfillment. And, clearly we could go either way right now, right?
Well, whatever you're saying is driving more comments coming in. So,
Tim's got AI augmented mentorship. Augmenting people is okay. Wholesale replacement of people with AI is problematic on a number of levels. Yeah. Well,
agreed.
that's a monster topic. Megan, Amy, any final comments on empathy and AI?
Well, first off, thank you for having us on the show. And I guess what I would say my final comments is this story isn't fully written yet. And one of our goals on the Meg and Amy show is that we have a lot more agency to invent the future. And now is the time. I think we all need to take quite seriously the fact that, we as humans, we value being seen, we value contributing, we value working and doing hard things. And I think we owe it to all of us to figure out how to do this better. And if that's a meta empathy, you bet. But it's also, I think it's actually measurable in the sense that we're going to start seeing a lot of people get this wrong. And we're going to recognize it when we see it. I mean, you can just look at the headlines we're seeing about Meta right now and how unhappy everyone is and all of the kind of ins and outs of that to know that we are creating more drama and less productivity as a result of some of our behaviors. So I think we have an opportunity to really turn that around.
Great point, Meg. Yeah.
Brian, I'm tempted to skip your final one because I think that was a good close. Shall we skip that? Now, Meg and Amy, you're welcome to hang out for our buzzword creation, but you're also welcome to sign off.
Stick around for that.
Super glad to have you.
But we'll try to.
All right, everyone in the audience, this is also your opportunity. We're going to skip that because we kind of covered it. Brian, we always have our buzzwords overhyped tech segment. But
these were things I heard on the road in the last couple of weeks. There was bring your own agent. I heard that at the Epicor event. I don't know where I'm supposed to take my agent. There's no room in my airplane seat anyway for anyone else. I don't know where the agent's going to go. And then the other one was this human ETL, and that made my neck snap because I haven't heard ETL in a while. It's usually in data warehouse kind of worlds. But anyway, anyhow, let's go to the fun exercise. Let's go to the next slide.
By the way, you got a couple supporting comments, Meg, on kind of creating a better narrative from Tim and Michelle there. That definitely resonated with people. And I really like how you put that. Okay. So, Brian, what do we got?
All right. Well, I think John's in need of some new trenchant phrases. John's favorite word is trenchant, if you for the listeners who didn't know that. Anyway, so what I found out was there's an interesting deal where if you could, you might want to insert words from the food and restaurant industry and use those mixed in with technology. And so you can see this, we're now serving a compote of AI agents, or it's a compliance encrusted workflow. And there are all these other great words in the food industry we could go with, to apply to tech. Rustic, shareables, handcrafted instead of bespoke, elevated, pureed, artisanal, wagyu. There's all kinds of stuff in here. And so what we want the listeners and as well, Amy and Meg, chime in. Is there any kind of phrase that just pops off the top of your head that you could slip one of these great words in here? Like, do you have a drizzle of an idea?
Well, you have to get some protein in there somehow because there's no food conversation right now that doesn't have protein in there somewhere. So
I'm switching to my creatine level model right now.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm working on a couple of them, Brian. I've got one I just came up with was I do like the agentic orchestration blue plate special.
Yes,
for sure. You want to get that when you can get it at a special price. No doubt about that. No one wants to get token maxed out of their blue plate special. Audience, do you have any food encrusted AI buzzwords you would like to throw into Brian's collection? Brian, did you make one yourself besides?
Well, I was going to say I debated about putting this at the front of the deal, but I thought we'd get nothing but snarky remarks.
Oh, we got a good one.
Ooh,
Thomas,
well
frozen
done.
dish of leadership. Ouch.
Oh,
Wow, Michelle's got the lean protein and veg.
I never saw it, but anyway.
The twice baked, I think, has a lot of legs. You can go in a lot of places with that as well. Yes.
Indeed.
Oh,
I don't know if
some biryani.
farm to table code sounds like it could be pretty interesting stuff to me.
Well, keep those coming. Yeah, we were gonna do this earlier, but we were afraid that the chat would devolve into a frozen dish.
There's got to be
frozen-
something about a deviled harness, right?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Devil
Creating-
harness.
Yeah.
And remember, those were just some suggested words. There's a whole vocabulary out there in the food world. So
Yeah, well, I was just thinking, so Amy's husband writes about food and he did a whole series on sous vides. We could probably get that in there somehow.
mm,
Yeah, I think I saw some deep
Mm.
fried keynotes this spring.
Yeah,
Um,
buzzword
Twice baked.
enchilada. I love that.
I'm sous videing my agent staff
fluffy,
right now.
sticky, and sweet. All right.
I-
What's that, Amy?
I'm sous videing my agent stack right now.
Okay. All right.
Mm.
Yeah. Indeed. Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, I think there's almost no limit to
I was
what
just
we
going to
could
say, yeah,
accomplish
you just
here.
sent us home with some
Um,
really good homework work. So,
This threatening to become a Diginomica post that would generate a lot of traffic from foodies, and that would really
Yes.
screw up our stats. But
I feel the next Meg and Amy show is going to have a whole culinary theme behind it.
Well, you're definitely making me hungry now.
yeah. Exactly.
Michelle's got the agentic AI taco show
Shell.
with smart humans are inside somewhere. Wow.
Well, keep going, man.
Ooh, fermented. Yeah, we definitely
foundational
need
model.
more fermented foundational model. Well done. Yeah.
Mm.
The tableside preparation agent. I like it. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you
doubt.
Probiotic.
guardrails for your
Yeah.
side agent, so they
Yeah,
don't.
indeed. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
The table side has a lot of legs with the forward deploy engineers, right?
Oh, indeed.
You
Right.
could swap in table side and forward deploy engineer, I think, pretty well.
Well, I don't know. Forward deployed entrees. That could work right
True.
there.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, could go either way.
Twice baked.
Indeed. Yeah, you're twice baked forward deployed engineer.
Exactly. Exactly. I think
No
that one,
doubt.
it just works. Yeah. You can't
Yeah.
really can't go wrong with that one.
Or are they
I'll-
develed? Are they develed or twice baked? I don't know.
Good
Ooh,
question.
Could be some
I
of each.
suspect there's some forward deployed engineers out there getting baked as we speak right now.
I am imagining that's a big part of it, right?
Oh my God. Remember when people used to just have clients, and they did consulting. Now they're forward deployed engineers. Oh
Yes.
my God.
Well, once we quit doing it, it had opportunity to get cool,
Yes. Oh my
Better
God.
name, better, yeah.
Sounds so sexy,
Totally.
I derive reassurance that they're stuck in the exit row with me when their
So-
flight gets canceled. So
I know we're hitting time, but I feel like we didn't cover the fact that Dennis Howlett has video of you as a child, John.
Oh, yeah.
Were you 16 in that photo or video?
Yeah.
Or what?
that was kind of gotcha journalism. So I don't really want
Yes.
to talk about that too much. I never signed the waivers for that to be released. So
I want to talk about it because he had clean cut hair.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. I'm like, who is this kid?
I
Speaking of
wasn't that young. I wasn't that young at the time either. That's the crazy
Oh.
thing.
Ah,
It was probably like 42 or something.
But he still had the same Woody
you look
Guthrie
16.
baseball cap.
You
I
absolutely
bet.
looked 16
I
in
know.
that video. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, by then I was already pretty jaded, but that's what gotcha journalism gets you. I can't endorse that video. Sorry. Okay. What do we have next, Brian? I forgot.
It was just the thing that inspired.
Oh, okay.
Slide. That's it. And we have to say goodbye to our guest. That's all we got
Oh, right.
left.
Okay. Oh, wait, we got a whiff. Oh, we got a
Yeah.
whiff. Yeah. So y'all know I do hits and misses and whiffs every week. And so Brian always picks the whiff. I was hoping Brian would pick my AI Worst Award. So if you don't like that I'm not doing an AI Worst Award. Take it up with Brian, but anyhow, he liked this one. And this was a Tesla on autopilot careening into a garage. And Brian says he thought it was all because the autonomous software had no back door. So the enterprise humor continues.
Wait a minute. I think given what we just talked about on the foodie stuff, there's a DoorDash angle to this that we got to work in here. Anyway. All
Yeah.
right.
So, and then the final thing
I think
is,
this is
oh, this was
something that
quite a
inspired.
story. Yeah, you were telling me
I
about
love
this
this
earlier.
story. I don't know why, guys, but it just really resonates with me. Some guy in the 90s, let's get this right. He noticed that Pepsi runs a commercial that says you could have a Harrier fighter jet for whatever it says, like 7 million Pepsi points. And so he does the math. He figures out that jet costs $32 million brand new. And if he could, and then he figured out how many Pepsi points he would need. And he noticed the fine print in Pepsi's ad that you could buy extra Pepsi points. So he rounded up some investors and they pulled together 70,000 and change. And he tried to buy the jet. He sent a check to Pepsi and said, now deliver me my Harrier VTOL aircraft. And then a lawsuit kicks off. And he wanted the jet. Pepsi says it was a farce. You can't enforce that. And it went all the way to big time US federal court. The guy did lose the case, but eventually Frontier Airlines gave him the equivalent points in miles. Now the guy's got basically unlimited miles on Frontier Airlines. And that's the story of perseverance, an upbeat note that we want to leave you with, that when smart people apply math and everything else and get the ROI right, they can walk away, maybe not with a jet, but with a lifetime of flight credits behind them.
And
They're on
the,
Frontier.
yeah,
On Frontier.
and the strange twist is the strange twist comes whether it was a reward or a penalty in the end.
Yeah.
Uh,
At least it wasn't Spirit, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I
it
don't
is
know
inspiring.
if you had unlimited miles on Frontier, would you fly Frontier? It's an interesting question for another time. That Michelle is just asking, not sure what a whiff is. Michelle, every week in my hits and misses, I pick the whiffs of the week, sort of a satirical selections. So that just came out of that, and we just pull one into the show each time. But Brian gets to pick his favorite, so that's how we roll. Megan Amy's show came through, Brian.
Yeah, I must say, you guys, I suspected we're going to be a little anxious because this is a live show and that may not be y'all's cup of tea, but you did just great, seriously. And I know everyone seems to always focus on how bad is Brian going to beat us up today, and that wasn't the case at all. So anyway, good job, great job actually from our guest today. And John, do you want to take us out?
Yeah, look forward to future episodes. Look forward to catching you all again. Thank you so much for doing this without a net. I've been through so many video things lately with different vendors where it's like, let's rehearse. I really appreciate your willing to just pop in and wing it, and you did great. So thanks everyone in the audience for keeping it real as always. Really appreciate your satirical comments and your smart comments as well. So we'll do it again in about a month. Until then, catch you later.
Thank you.